Hello and welcome. This is Shannon from Shannon Talks Yarn. On my channel, we spend a lot of time talking about day-to-day type situations that fiber artists, whether they're crocheters or knitters, face, and just kind of how we deal with them and trying to be as positive and uplifting as possible. I'll occasionally share projects, once in a while a tutorial. We just spend a lot of time here talking about yarn-related issues. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to take a few minutes and just properly introduce myself to you if you are new here. I am going to be answering a few fun, kind of personal questions just about like my journey as a crocheter and yarn lover. I thought I could just share a few kind of like behind the scenes type details. You never know, you might find out something you didn't expect. So just kind of think of this as like a little get to know me hangout sesh. I have got my current whip I'm working on. I would encourage you to grab yours if you want like a tea, or I just finished a Dr. Pepper, and grab that and let's get into these questions. First question is, what inspired me to start Shannon Talks Yarn, and how has that journey evolved over the past few years? I am actually just getting ready to start my 4th year on YouTube. So I've just completed 3 years, and I used to not get YouTube. Like, I was really confused. Like, I didn't understand the point of it. Once I finally started watching YouTube, I was watching like a lot of cleaning videos, a lot of decorating videos, stuff like that. I kind of realized that, you know, anyone could really do it. That if all these other like normal people were doing it, there was no reason I couldn't either. But my channel has changed. I think in the beginning, I spent a lot of time just kind of doing what everybody was doing. It was really burning me out. I was trying to put out 3 videos a week because, you know, they say in the beginning, like, especially when you don't have any followers, you know, the more you put out, the more exposure. But what I found is I was really struggling to come up with good content ideas. It was more like, oh, I got to crochet something really fast, and crocheting things that really weren't things that I would use. And so I ended up with a bunch of stuff that I was just trying to give away to people. And while like the quality was fine, it was like, well, nobody asked for this stuff, you know? So I really did have to rethink what I was doing. And my goal was to really make a channel that reflected a lot of the things that I was just going through on a day-to-day basis as someone who crochets, and, you know, what affects me. And I was assuming that it probably would affect you too. And so that was the type of content I really have been striving to make. I guess that is a good segue into the next question. It's, what makes your channel unique compared to other yarn-related content on YouTube? To be honest, I don't do like a lot of yarn hauls. Sometimes I will show some yarn, and I definitely did some in the beginning, but that is really not the primary focus of my channel. I also seldomly put out tutorials. I am going to be working on one, which is something that is a little bit of a stretch for me. I did mention this to my email subscribers. If you are not subscribed to my email, it is free. There is always a link down in the description box if you want to sign up for that. It is just a monthly video from me that you can only get through my email. But I did kind of talk about that a little bit, where I am actually going to be working on a tutorial, but of course I'm going to try to just put my own spin on it and just do it a little bit differently as well. There are other people who do tutorials very well, and I do not think I am one of them. I think I'm okay. That's probably the biggest difference, is that it is a very, very light on the tutorials. What is one of the biggest struggles you faced as a fiber artist, and how did you overcome it? Well, I don't think I have overcome it. I think my biggest struggle is organization. You know, I try to film myself in a nice, tidy area, but, you know, I had to clear off this bed and put several bins down on the floor to be able to do that. It is just, I keep trying different systems. Some of them work better than others. I do think that the bobble and puff organizers have been some of the best organizing equipment that I have tried using. And I'm also working right now on doing a digital organizing thing that I will share with you as well when I get a little more done on that. But I think by far, keeping my yarn organized, putting it away when I get it, things like that are definitely my biggest obstacles I need to work on. What is your all-time favorite yarn and what do you love about it? I don't know if I have a specific favorite yarn as far as brand or something like that. This is Palette from Knit Picks and I do really like it. I think the colors are gorgeous. I will say I definitely lean towards wools and alpacas. I do love alpaca yarn, but I think really in general, I would have to say, if I were to just be very general and say fingering weight yarn is my favorite type of yarn. In the past couple of years, I have really liked quite a few of the projects I have done with it. And when I am purchasing more yarn to bring into my home, I tend to be really just focusing on those fine weights. And I'm really enjoying working with them. Not that I don't like worsted weight or chunky, but I have just found myself kind of evolving and changing and enjoying the projects that I can make with these finer weight yarns a little bit more. If you could crochet or knit with 3 colors for the rest of your life, which ones would you choose? So I love autumnal colors, but I would have to say I did grab a project here. This was my oversized fall shawl. This color palette reminds me of jam and honey. And I absolutely love this. So I would kind of say for being, pretty whatever, I love these. I do. So yeah, I would probably pick those. How do you stay inspired to keep creating content and what keeps you coming back to YouTube? Which is a good question because it can be difficult as a content creator to come up with ideas for filming. I always want to make it something that is valuable for the viewer. It can be difficult to find something and be like, what do people want to know about? What would they find interesting? What can I help them with? And I do find a lot of inspiration from other genres, kind of more in the self-help genre. I find myself kind of borrowing from to come up with content ideas. Sometimes it's a thumbnail I see, sometimes it's a title, sometimes it's a video concept. I really like taking things from other niches and genres and seeing how can I apply this to yarn and crochet or knit and what we do here. How does this affect us as people who love yarn? What advice would you give to someone just starting their fiber arts journey? I feel like my biggest thing that I rushed into was feeling like I needed to create a very good inventory of yarn in my yarn stash. And I 100% enjoy having a yarn stash for a couple different reasons. I've done several videos on it. Basically, I live in the middle of nowhere in central Iowa, and it takes me about an hour to get to any place with a yarn store. We do have fairly severe weather in the winter time. It can be a while. I don't always just have the luxury of popping in somewhere to get stuff. I like having yarns handy that I love to work on, so when inspirations, happens to hit me, I can go to some things I love. But in the beginning, I was more focused on getting as much yarn with the money or gift cards that I had. A couple times I was given $50 or $75 gift cards, and so instead of being what are the top things that I absolutely love that I wouldn't buy if it was my own money? Instead of doing that, I was like, oh, I just need to get as much as I can with this gift card. And that led me to making some mistakes about what I brought into my home. And I am just a lot more mindful of that. I have been trading some yarn with a friend. Did also at Christmas time get a Centro. So I think that's going to help me make up some hats and scarves out of some of my other yarn. It's one of those where I feel like I rushed into creating a yarn stash for myself before I really knew what I loved. I did it because I wanted to like save as much money, get the absolute best deals, you know, that type of stuff. I did. I got phenomenal deals. But it's just one of those things where it's not really a deal if, you know, it's sitting here for 4 or 5 years and, you know, you're not really using it. That is a lesson I have learned. And I would say to someone just starting out, don't rush into it. Do some experimenting with different types of yarn, different textures of yarn. See what you like working with and be okay with the fact that it will cost a little bit more in the beginning while you're working just project to project, but that given, you know, maybe a year or two, you'll have narrowed down what you really like and enjoy using. And in the long run, that will definitely save you more money. I am definitely getting over a little bit of a respiratory thing. It hasn't been a big deal, but I feel like it is definitely affecting my voice a little bit, and I will do my best to edit out any of the coughing I do. So the next question is, what is a childhood memory that made you fall in love with fiber arts? And I don't think I have like one specific memory, but I did do a video last year on my grandma's birthday because, I mean, overall was a huge influence on me in my childhood and in my teens. She did pass away when I was in my early 20s. But yeah, last year, if she would have been alive, she would have been 100 years old. So I did a video where I just talked about how much of an influence she was. She wasn't much of a crocheter or knitter. I know she knew a little bit, but she did a lot of sewing and just so many different crafts, and was someone who just really encouraged my creativity. I'm just so thankful that she put that seed in my brain about being able to create things, having the confidence to create things. I'm very, very thankful for that because she was so amazing. You know, she grew up in the Great Depression. She had to be extremely resourceful. I believe she was one of 10 kids. She, being the oldest, she just was in charge of a lot of stuff. Her resourcefulness was definitely a huge asset, and I admire everything she did, and I'm so thankful that she, you know, instilled a lot of that in me. So this next one says, if you could have a crafting day with any person, living or historical, who would it be and why? It's kind of funny because I've never thought about like a historical figure to craft with. I'm sure there's probably some super cool historical people. The thought had really, really never entered my mind. So I would be interested to know if there is anything or any person like historical or whatever, dead or alive, I guess. What are they saying? Living or historical. That's a nicer way of saying dead or alive. Yeah, if you have like a historical person, I would love to know who that is, because it never crossed my mind. I would pick my friend Sydney from Sweet Peas Sid's Inspirations, because get to hang out online all the time and we talk about our projects and we talk about yarns, and I've purchased some of her hand spun yarn, and she's been a huge inspiration for me to start spinning yarn, but we live so far away from each other. I live in the Midwest, she lives on the coast, and we're kind of both in different stages of our lives where we're both extremely busy. Don't think I'm really going to get much of a chance to visit her anytime in the near future that isn't virtual. So yeah, if I could hang out and craft with anyone for a day, I would pick Sydney. What is a non-yarn related hobby or passion that people might be surprised to learn about you? I don't know if you would be surprised. I know I have talked about this before, but I am a fairly avid canner. While I don't totally love gardening, unfortunately, I feel like I don't have a lot of the tenacity to go out and weed all the time. I do really love preserving food. I absolutely love making like jams and butters, yummy dessert type of things. But I have had a lot of fun. I've canned different types of meat before. I've done chicken, I've done beef, I've done venison. I have just preserved a lot of different stuff. I love pickling. I love pickles. I have pickled so many different things. One of my favorite is pickled asparagus. And where I live in Iowa, I would say like late spring, early summer, there is a lot of wild asparagus growing in the ditches. And it is amazing, and you can go pick it. And I always try every year to pickle some asparagus. So this says, what does the perfect cozy day look like for you? I would have to say today has been pretty darn cozy. So I slept in. It is a very gloomy day. We have had both rain and snow today, but the snow didn't stick around, thankfully. That was me looking out the window there. But I've been inside all day. I took a hot bath and then put on nice fresh jammies to lounge around in the rest of the day. So that is super cozy. I've got a project I'm working on here. I'm getting close to being done. This is the last ball of yarn, and I probably have maybe 2 rows left, 1.5 rows left, and I get to make a video. I get to talk to you, so that is also fun. I'm trying out, I got one of these Volari crafting pillows, and I'm actually really enjoying it, so that is also something. It is cozy. I am kind of like a cozy obsessed person. I am the person who has a million throw pillows and a million throw blankets, and I just need to be comfy at all times. Well, I guess you can probably see all my millions of pillows here too. So yeah, I love being cozy, and I have a playlist I will link of like some cozy crochet, like what some of my other yarn friends on YouTube, like what's cozy for them. I will link all of those if you want like a few more details on all that. I absolutely love this next question, and it's kind of like dumb and embarrassing, and I may have shared this before, but it says, what is the funniest or most embarrassing yarn related mishap you have ever had? And you're like, oh, number one, like, how do you have a yarn mishap, and could it really be that funny? So a couple of years back, I had gone to a Hobby Lobby clearance sale, the one in the summertime. I think I had gone to the store. I was kind of stalking it a couple times. I had called, because again, it's an hour for me to get to one. I went, and like they had just started marking yarn down that morning. So I was like getting the pick of the litter as far as clearance yarn. I was there for quite a while. I had my husband drop me off, so I didn't have to worry about thinking about that he was bored or anything like that. He was running other errands, and I just took my time and all that. Well, I was pretty jazzed up. It was definitely like a bargain high. Anyway, I had checked out, and I was like, okay, I will go sit on a bench outside the store, and I'll take my shopping bags out, and I'll wait for him out there. Like I had texted him, and he was getting ready to check out at Menards or something. So I'm like, I won't be out there that long. So I purchased my yarn, and I put my sunglasses on because it's the middle of the day in the summer. But before I walk out, there was an employee, and I was just so excited about all this yarn. I was giddy. I was talking to everybody. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I got this yarn. You guys are awesome, blah, blah, blah. And he's like looking at me. Okay. So I walk outside, and I'm sitting on this bench, and people were, it's a parking lot. So people were driving by, and I noticed sometimes people were like kind of turning their head when they drove by, and I thought, well, it's because I have like 4 giant bags of yarn. This looks like a pretty big deal to me. I'd probably look at it too. And then my husband comes driving up very slowly, and he has like the most confused look on his face. He was like, and so again, I thought it was because of the yarn. He drives down, pulls into a spot, and I grab my big bags, and I go walking there, and I'm still like super jazzed up at this point. And I get in the car, and he's like, Do you know there's only one lens in your sunglasses? I was like so excited about my yarn. I literally was talking to people and was outside, not noticing that there was one sunglass lens in and one completely out. So I looked like a total goofball. I felt kind of dumb when I figured that out because, like I said, I was envisioning people were staring at me because I was such a great bargain shopper and I had all of this yarn. Nope. It was because I looked like a total weirdo sitting out front. So that's probably my weirdest, most embarrassing yarn-related mishap. This next one says, do you have a dream yarn shop or fiber festival that you'd love to visit one day? You know, I don't know a lot about, like, in Iowa, unfortunately, there are not a ton of LYSs and there aren't a ton of like yarn events that happen, unfortunately. But I would say if I can change the question just a tiny bit, like a yarn location, I would love to go, and this sounds silly, but I would love to go to Nashville for the yarn. If you follow Mary from Slow Crochet, she has gotten like amazing thrifting deals on yarn, and she's got a few really great like craft thrift stores there. And then there's a lot of LYSs there. Like she is always, you know, meeting great people and seeing these new places. And I think that would be so fun to check out a place like that, which of course obviously has tons of other attractions. Like I wouldn't go to Nashville just buy yarn and then go home, of course. It just seems like that city has a lot of great yarn possibilities there. The very last question here is, how do you want people to feel after watching your videos? And this is really, really important. And I seriously think about this like in every video. I want you to feel positive when you leave this video. I want you to know that whether you are struggling, whether you are having a great yarn day, whether you feel like you've had a disappointment, that you are not alone. That myself, I have probably felt the same way you're feeling, and definitely the other people in this community have been in that same boat as you. Like, I want you to know that you have this space and that you will be uplifted, that you will have like a sense of hope or optimism when you leave the video. Like, you know what, maybe we're not super great at something right now, but here's what we can do to work on it. And I guess I want people to know that if I have been able to learn crochet skills, I didn't learn until I was like 40 years old, and now I have been crocheting for almost a decade. But if I can learn these skills, then anybody can, because I don't have great attention to detail. I'm not great at instructions. I'm impatient. I want to skip to the end. I want to be instantly great at something I have no experience with. So if I am able to evolve and do these things over time, I definitely know that you are capable of it too. And that's what I want you to feel when you leave here. Like, I want you to feel like we sat down because we're friends and had a conversation, and you're walking away feeling positive. Don't forget, if you want to be on that, get that exclusive once a month email, to sign up for that. Follow the link down in the description box. Or if you're interested in joining the membership, there will be another video coming out very shortly before the end of the month, so there's a link for that as well. I hope this has helped you learn a little bit more about me, like just help us get to know each other a little better. If any of these questions resonated with you, I would love to hear your answer down in the comments. Thank you. Bye.